Welcome to the Boys and Ivy Chicago Cubs podcast. All right, today we welcome to the show Marquee Sports Network. Cole Wright joins the Boys and Ivy here next. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boys and Ivy. I'm your host, Jason Mead, alongside my best friend and pal and my partner in crime, Parker Mead, Park Chop. And we have a guest today that we're super excited about. It's awesome that he comes on the show here. Marquee Sports Network main man, Cole Wright, joins the show.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing good.
Doing great.
But
How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I'm ready to get cooking here. What you guys got on tap for today?
Well, we'll start off because you were the main guy that introduced Parker to winning the Cubs Junior Broadcast Contest, and that was it was definitely a special day for our entire family. Obviously, Parker winning the thing, but me, I'm a diehard Cubs fan too, and to see my son up there in the booth that Harry Carey and all the legends have been into, that was awesome to see. So Parker was super excited.
No, that was awesome, and it was great to see him, and every year to have the junior broadcaster program, to see so many young kids and how good they are at such a young age. And Parker, I know that had to be a thrill for you to be up there in that booth and looking down on that field. I mean, I know I've been up there only a few times, to sing the seventh inning stretch and whatnot. But I mean, I know you had to be nervous because I'm a grown man, and I grew up a Cubs fan, and I still get nervous when I go up there and do that. So I know you had to feel some jitters.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So how did you guys do it? Did you guys have a vote, or was it fan vote? How did it go? How did you guys pick the winner?
Well, that's behind closed doors. I feel like it's like an accounting firm who knocks it out like the lottery when they have back in the day when I was a kid, Parker, they used to have the lottery drawings on Saturday night, and they'd tell you it was supervised by the accounting firm of this guy, that guy, and that guy. So it was it's all behind closed doors, and they just let me know who the winner is, and they put together the video and let everybody know who the finalists are, and whoever the winner is, they let me know every year, and I just let everybody else know. And this year it was you, and it was fantastic. Great job.
Thank you. So what do we got next?
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about the Cubs convention. This is one thing. This is our third year that me and Parker's went up to the Cubs convention, and it's just a fun weekend. We usually make just an entire weekend out of it, just a boys' weekend. And we usually go to a basketball game. We usually go to the Bulls game, which we did against the Hornets. And we actually checked out Northwestern basketball game against Maryland. That was pretty sweet too. But just the whole weekend of being at the Cubs convention, it was just something else. What thing did you like the most about it?
I feel like just the whole weekend is electric. Just the energy you feel from all the Cubs fans, whether it's people who've been there, to every single Cubs convention. Ryan Sandberg's been to 34 out of the 38, which is nuts. I mean, the only time he didn't go was when he was, with the Phillies. But just to see all the people who have been to so many, and the people that are there for the first time, and it's fun to see everybody. And it was really fun to see Sammy Sosa. I mean, I know you guys were there, and I know how fun it was, as it is every single year. But to have Sammy Sosa back for the first time in 21 years, I mean, that's nuts. I mean, just to see him and see the electricity that radiated throughout the room when Sammy Sosa hit the stage with that American flag, because before he came out, he was behind the stage. Like, if you were looking at the stage, he was on the right side behind the little curtain, and I was on the left side, on the complete opposite side, just looking straight across right at him as he was getting ready to come out. And I mean, it felt like, the 15-year-old kid in me was sitting there thinking, I can't believe this is even happening right now. Like, I'm really sitting here watching Sammy Sosa about to come out and have all these fans in a frenzy for the first time in 21 years at Cubs convention. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, just from start to finish, and being able to be the host of Cubs convention, and to get everything off of the runway, and to make sure that people are energized and ready to go. It's a great responsibility. I never take it for granted, and I'm glad that everybody had a great time from the looks of it, at least.
Yeah, Parker. So we did get to win. We won a ticket to meet Sammy Sosa, and it was one ticket, and Parker got lucky enough to be able to go up there and meet Sammy Sosa. So Parker, tell him about that.
Yeah, how was that? Tell me all about it.
So at first, there's these girls that were like they weren't having it. So they're like, you can only have one person. And he's like, well, he can come in, my dad can come in, and they'll have to wait out here. But he was like, well, I want them to go meet it. I don't want this for myself. I'd rather have them go do it. But then she was like, well, only one person can go. And then they walked off, and then a guy came over and he's like, you guys can both go in and meet Sammy Sosa. So when we first walked in there, he looked jacked. He was jacked.
Right.
But also,
swole.
yeah, and then he's a super nice guy. He signed like everything, and Bryson was just waiting in the back, and they're like, come out. He's like, come up here. And then he signed 3 things for us.
That is awesome. Yeah, he was swole, wasn't he? Like I feel like I did we did the interview with them, Boog and I, after Cubs convention was over with the opening ceremonies, and then when that was over with, there was like a little side room, and people were all kind of congregating and whatnot, and my wife and daughter were there, and I was able to take a picture with him. He was. I was like, when you put my arm around him, I was like, geez, like what? I feel like this guy could go deep at least 25 times in a season if he was still suiting up. So, it's crazy because I don't know if you've done a whole lot of research on Sammy Sosa, Parker, but he was pretty special. The way that dude, his opposite field power too, was one of the most impressive things. When people go back, I think a lot of people forget like how much opposite field pop Sammy Sosa had. Like he pulled a lot of balls, and when he did, they were epic. But he hit a lot of balls to right center field.
20 in a month. 20 in a month.
I like watching his highlights. The coolest thing that he does though is the hop. The hop's awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh, the hop is unbelievable. Yeah, when the 20 in a month, I think it was either the one that tied it or the one that broke it. I was at Tiger Stadium. They were playing the Tigers, and I went on a college visit up there, and they gave us, which I don't think it was legal to get college coaches to give out tickets to professional games back then. But either way, I went to that game. I remember being in the highlight on SportsCenter. I could see myself because I had an orange shirt on, and I was super excited, not just because Sammy Sosa hit it, but I could see myself and some of my buddies in the camera shot on SportsCenter. So yeah, that's a very memorable one for him to hit all those bombs in 1 month. I don't think we'll ever see a guy who can hit home runs at a consistent clip like that. To hit 60 home runs 3 times, that's unbelievable.
A lot.
Dog.
Yeah.
All right, Parker.
What is it like to work for the greatest sports team in the world, the Chicago Cubs? Where did you get your first start, and when did you start with the Cubs?
Well, I started in 2020 with the Cubs, and it's fantastic. Like I grew up watching the Cubs, and I grew up a baseball fan. I played baseball in college, just for a cup of coffee afterwards, and to be able to work for the team that I grew up down the street from. I didn't grow up, but after college, I lived about 10 blocks from Wrigley Field, and we went to a lot of games, and tried to get free tickets whenever we could, and so as a guy that right after college was just living down the street in an apartment with one of his buddies that I played college baseball with, it's crazy now that I get to walk across to Wrigley Field, after every pregame show, whether it's Cliff and I, or Joe Girardi and I, or Carlos Pena, or Ryan Sweeney, or Sean Marshall. We walk across, we go grab some food, we go to the suites, or just walk through the ballpark, and it's a crazy feeling to be able just to walk there and be able to watch those games. And I go to Wrigley Field and watch games on my days off. When my wife and daughter are out of town, or even when they are in town, like we'll all go. Or when they're out of town, I'll go by myself on my day off. And a lot of people from work will be like, "What are you doing here on your day off?" I'm like, "Because I get to go to the Cubs game today." I'm like, "I'd be at home watching the game anyway, so I might as well drive in. If the traffic's not bad, it's 25 minutes. So I mean, who wouldn't drive 25 minutes just to go to a game at Wrigley Field whenever they could?" I think it's an unbelievable privilege to have, and like I said, I never take the responsibility lightly, and it's something that I hold very close to myself.
Who did you start off with?
My first job was in Texas, and there's in local TV. I think there's 212 markets, and I got my station at that point was market number 197, I believe. San Angelo, Texas, KLST. It was the CBS affiliate in San Angelo, Texas, in West Texas. It was basically the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's by Abilene. Abilene has their own TV stations too, and we covered Friday night football. The first thing I ever did was a Friday night live shot from a high school football game. We also had a minor league baseball team there, and arena football team, and a minor league hockey team, and we had 2 live trucks. So even though it was a really small market, we had the ability to do some things that were above our station's capabilities, if that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But we like some stations that were a lot bigger than us or in a lot higher markets didn't have 3 minor league teams and 2 live trucks. So we always had the capability to do live shots and cover a lot of sports teams that you normally wouldn't get to at your first job out of college. So it was a lot of people when we were there, they were like, "Oh, this is the worst. This is terrible." But if I had to do it all over again, I would do it all the same way, because I learned a ton at my first job. So
is the Cubs the only MLB team that you work with?
That I work with now, yeah. But I mean, I used to. So after my first job in Texas, I got another job in Texas, in Tyler, Texas, and that was right outside of Dallas. Covering high school football again. And from there, I went to Baton Rouge because they opened up the station that I worked for opened up a new station in Baton Rouge. So I was able to become the sports director there, the Monday through Friday sports guy, covering LSU and the Saints. And at that point, they were the Hornets. Now the Pelicans. But I went from there. I went to Boston. I worked at Nesson. And I covered the Red Sox, the Boston Bruins, the Boston Celtics, the Patriots. Yeah, so I worked there for 2 years, and then I was at ESPN for 3 years, and then at Fox Sports 1, I moved all the way from the East Coast over to California, and I was at Fox Sports 1 for a year and a half, and then NFL Network for 5 years, and now I've been here this is going to be season 6, working with the Cubs. I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of stops along the way, but they like my dad always tells me that everything's a part of your development. So I feel like that rings true. When I feel like everything was a part of my development and continues to be. Being able to work for the Cubs and do what I do, and just be able not to just do shows in studio, but I'll be on the call for a few spring training games, and that's always fun. Everything you do is just part of getting better every day. Like Ed Brazilai, now with the Mets, used to say, just try to get 1% better every day, and that's a good motto to have.
Yeah, so with Parker, wanting to do this when he gets older, just slowly starting to build it, because his very first ever play-by-play game was a Major League Baseball game.
Right.
It's like now you got the road back to the show, so we got to get back. How are we going to get him back?
Absolutely. Everything, Parker's going to be easy after that. I mean, you've already been at the pinnacle of the mountaintop. So yeah, you're going to be just fine. You do a great job.
Thank you.
All righty. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the Cubbies. What are your projections on the Cubs this season? And are we a World Series contender?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to hope so. Pacoda, yeah. With the
90 and a
third
half.
ranked.
90 and a half.
I like it. I like that. I was thinking 88 wins. I mean, you'd like to have 90 wins. I mean, that'd be fantastic. I'll take 91 wins. Um, I'll take whatever, because I mean, you want to watch competitive, solid baseball. It's just so much more fun. And my job, I feel like, is fun, win, lose, or draw. But when you're winning and you're able to go out there and you're able to help energize the people and continue to energize the Cubs fan base after the season, I mean, that's one of the things that I was only able to do in 2020, and to be able to do that and continue to do that in seasons to come. I mean, that's a continued dream come true. So, hopefully this year all the pieces of the puzzle are going to come together. They continue to. We just had the a move for Ryan Brazier from the Dodgers that just went through. So I feel like the pitching is starting to come together. The bullpen, everything is starting to solidify, and if you can just get one more piece of the puzzle offensively, I think we'll be all right.
I think so. Now, do we have to pay him deferred money since he come to LA from LA?
Yeah, no, hopefully not. I that news just came to me, right before we jumped on this. So I don't know all the ins and outs of his contract and all the framework of that, but I think that'll be a nice addition. And, anything right now that it's going to help in those later innings, because I mean we saw some of the inconsistency last season. I mean, so many one-run losses and so many come from behind victories for the opposition. That's not what you want. You want to be able to take leads and keep leads. And, I think with a lot of the guys coming along in the bullpen that have velocity, I feel like some of these recent acquisitions and some of these new faces will be, sort of a safety net for those guys, because they can chew up innings, they can get outs, while some of these young guys, like a Porter Hodge or like a Daniel Palencia or a Luke Little, why these guys who throw gas while they come along later. So I feel like everything's starting to really take shape, and I think a lot of these arms are going to really filter in.
Yeah, I really like what we've done so far, for sure. And I think FanDuel had them on for like 85.5 yesterday, and I think it bumped up to 86.5 today. But
I like it.
But man, I think I might put a little wager down on it. Parker,
on the current roster, who is your favorite player to watch, and who is the Cubs' next superstar?
I think it's the same person. I mean, I think it's PCA. I think it's Pete Crow Armstrong. I mean, how much cooler does it get than that guy? I mean, the energy he brings to the table, what he's looking to do, and I think what he can be able to do as a guy in his second year in the league. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think he can be that next Cubs superstar. And like I'm so excited to watch this cat play. I mean, he just makes center field look so effortless. The bat's going to come along. It really came along in the second half last season. And I think this year it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. He's a spark plug. I mean, that's the kind of cat he is. Like, between he or Ian Happ, Happer is fantastic in the leadoff spot. I mean, if you batted Pete ninth, almost to be like that double up leadoff, for like a old school St. Louis Cardinals style. I mean, I hate to go back to that ball club, but they won when Tony La Russa had his that second leadoff hitter back in the day hitting in that 9 spot. And you've seen other skippers implement that. I mean, even Joe Madden, every once in a while used to plug and play like that. So, if Pete's able to fill one of those roles and continue to play Gold Glove defense like we saw a season ago in a full season, I mean, Pete from the very beginning of the year with a full year under his belt, I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So get ready. I think he's going to be the guy that's that next superstar, and he's my favorite. He's my favorite guy to cover on the team.
Yep, that's my favorite player too.
Yeah, I think he's a lot of people's favorite player.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy too.
Absolutely. Did you talk to him? Did you get to meet him at Cubs convention?
Yeah, I did. I got to meet him once, and I gave him a shirt. It had like a crow diving for a ball. I don't know if you saw the kids' press conference, but it was on there. And then obviously I played catch with them at the broadcast when I went to Cubs Junior Broadcasters program, and that was just awesome to play catch with my favorite player. I mean, so if you were playing catch with Pete, wouldn't that be awesome too to you?
Oh, I would love it. Like I would like to, like I would love to have a segment where I just play catch with guys and just talk, where we're just mic'd up, and it's like 5 minutes, and just say, we're just playing catch, or let's call it like catching up or something like that, because I still like to think that I have a decent arm. So just to be able to play catch with the guys, I'm sure I'd end up sailing one or two. Hopefully not. Elise and I like to play catch when we're down there at spring training, because she's got a crazy arm. So she, like, if you're ever around Elise, ask her to play catch, because she can get after it. She's a 4-year starter at at Cornell University, a Hall of Famer. So like whenever we're down there at spring training, I can always count on Elise to be like, I'm like, hey, you want to throw the ball around while we're waiting on to get some of these interviews? So that's always a good time.
Well, if we're ever down in spring training, again, we'll hit you up, man. We'll play some catch.
Absolutely. I'm going down in just a few days, so it should be fun.
Yeah, we went down.
I always bring my glove too. I always bring my gloves, so that's just the kid in me.
We went down last year, had an awesome time. It was great. So I don't know if we'll get back down there this year, but hopefully in the next couple of years we get back. But one of the things that I love the most about PCA is just I'm a defensive guy, so I love seeing guys like him play defense. And the Cubs, man, we're loaded. I mean, our defense is probably the best. I would argue with anybody if it's not the best defense in the league. And like with Pete in center field, I think he can cover so much ground with the outfield and Wrigley Field being a little bit smaller. Maybe we can push the guys out a little bit closer to lines and really lock down those gappers that a lot of the guys hit. So I really enjoy watching him fly around out in the outfield. It's pretty sweet. He is definitely an exciting player for sure.
Yeah, that's the only regret, is that Pete plays center field at Wrigley Field, and you don't get to see him rob home runs at home.
Yep, that's true.
I mean,
you see him in Colorado and LA last year when he robbed that catch. That was
fantastic. Yeah, he's the man.
He was. So the Cubs offseason moves. Last year we struggled scoring runs. Did we get enough offense on the offensive side? Obviously getting Kyle Tucker, but do you think we got enough?
Can you ever have enough? I mean, I think that's a never-ending question. I think you can always get more, and I think what's going on right now is pretty solid. You look at the lineup, it looks like runs, and I think this is a very winnable division. You would like to see maybe one more addition. I know there's been a lot of the Alex Bregman rumblings, and I mean, who wouldn't want to see Alex Bregman, in that lineup? I feel like that would add a lot of firepower. A consistent glove at third base, and I think that there's with Ryan Presley and Kyle Tucker, there's
some
a little bit of team cohesion from those guys. So I think if you can add another player, another big bat, and Pete Alonso's still out there. I don't necessarily know how he fits in.
Yeah,
maybe it would be you try to get Pete Alonso and try to move Michael Busch back to third. I mean, I feel like Michael Busch but Michael Busch made that fantastic transition to first base, and he really has come into his own at first base, especially in the second half of the season. So I don't want to thwart any of the development that we've seen from Michael Busch at first base, but what do they call a guy like Pete Alonso on MLB Network? He's an aircraft carrier, just like Kyle Tucker. So, I mean, if you can have the opportunity.
I think there were some reports that he wanted to come to the Cubs, though, didn't it?
I mean, there's a lot of reports out there. I mean, some are factual, others are erroneous. You never know what to think, especially right now. It's getting closer. I mean, pitchers and catchers report on Super Bowl Sunday, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's what Parker's question was should they go out and get Alex Bregman?
What do you think, Parker?
I would be fine with him because he's a good glover, and man, that just adds another great player to our defense. He's a pretty good hitter, and I mean, if there's one thing that I knock about it is that I kind of want to see Matt Shaw play a little bit. I don't know about you. Are you happy that Matt Shaw got brought up, or do you think he needs a little bit more time in AAA or AA?
I feel like if he's ready to roll, then let it rip. Like everywhere he's been a hitter, and hitters are going to hit. And I mean, you look at some of the greatest hitters in the history of the game, I mean, you look at when they first come up, they struggle. That's all right. Like, I think that's what's supposed to happen. I don't think guys are supposed to just walk right in and start raking. I mean, some guys do, and that's fantastic. And they're the better for it. But I just feel like that some guys need to come up and they need to struggle a little bit. Willie Mays struggled. He was like one for his first 26, something like that.
And Sandberg was too. I mean, what was Sandberg like 1 for 30 something too?
Yeah, he struggled. So
same thing with Pete too.
Yeah, great players can struggle. That's all right. If you see it, let them go out there and continue to provide them with confidence. Now, you don't want a guy going, 2 for 100, but if there's an embedded struggle and you see that they're right around the corner from that aha moment, from them clicking and everything starting to slow down, let them go out there and get it. I feel like that's what you want to see. And Matt Shaw, I feel like he's the student of the game. He's a guy who's going to go out there and he's going to give it his all, and he's going to bust his hump defensively and offensively. So, I mean, if he's ready to roll and there's a spot for him, then let it rip. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
And me and Parker, we love offense. I mean, I said it in the last podcast is taking my son to a game. I want to see like a 15-13 slobber knocker where they're knocking the ball all over the ballpark instead of watching a one run game or 1-0 game. But like, I don't want to sit there and watch a bunch of guys walk. I mean, it's boring. I want to see some guys banging the ball around. So Parker, what do I always say? What do I say to you guys about walks?
If you want to walk, play golf.
Nice. I feel like there's a lot of value these days placed in the walk, which, I mean, I guess when you look at it as a multi-million-dollar and even billion-dollar business, I guess you do want to, look a little bit deeper into the numbers. However, I feel like now guys are going into seasons trying to rack up walks instead of just trying to have good at bats that result in walks. If that makes any kind of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like, walks and home runs, they're going to be byproducts of a steady eye and a good swing and consistent at bats. I just feel like maybe there's an overvalue that's placed on the walk. And I mean, OPS is a great stat. It's fantastic. But, guys that walk and hit for power, even though their average might not be there, sometimes their OPS, I don't want to say it tricks you because it shows you a value, but I feel like a guy like Luis Ariz, his OPS isn't through the roof, but what he's able to do with the bat, his ability to put the ball in play and make things happen, I feel like isn't necessarily always quantified with a stat. Like I know it's gonna add to your batting average, but I don't know, because he doesn't walk, but he makes plays. When you put the ball in play and you make them make a play on you, that creates chaos. And sometimes, chaotic plays result in runs.
And I think it's just such a lost art in baseball of just moving runners along, like, guys at second base, no outs, hitting the ball to the right side to get him over there to third base. I think that's a lost art in the game. And bringing up Luis Ariz, that guy's just, I mean, he's a dog to get out. He's a tough out. I mean, he can throw him pitch after pitch and he fouls it off. And he's just, and guys like that really don't get a lot of value because everybody's a lot of people's looking for the home run.
And like you say, and think about how many extra miles he puts on a starting pitcher in a game. Say he goes and has an 11 pitch at bat and then a 7 pitch at bat. And then before you know it, that pitcher's out of the game. And just like that, 18 pitches were wasted on one dude. Yeah. So I feel like there's so much worth and there's so much that doesn't show up in the stat sheet for a guy like Luis Ariz and players. I would say players that are, cut from his cloth, but there aren't too many of them. I mean, what was last year? There were only 7 guys that hit over 300 last year in Major League Baseball, and the year before that, 9.
And that's crazy. So, and, guys that bats 260, you'll get a $300 million contract. It just blows my mind. Man, so if you were the manager, if you were Counsell, who would be your starting lineup? Who would be the batting order?
I like PCA leadoff, but I mean, Ian Happ has put up numbers. He's put up some serious numbers, so it's tough. But I just feel like I maybe would like Happer maybe down just a little bit. I would. Now you got me thinking. I'd maybe go PCA 1, Kyle Tucker 2. Maybe do I go Happer 3, Seya 4, Michael Bush 5. But then it all depends on do you get Alex Bregman?
No.
That's the question. And Nico, I don't know. Like I feel like I want to lay it out. I want to look at it on paper. A little bit more close, because I don't know. Michael Bush, he's got 30 home run potential.
He does.
And it's like I want to see these guys get some more at bats in spring training. I'd like to see Happer further down in the lineup, but he does bring so much value numbers wise. OPS wise, he walks, he gets on base, his on base percentage, and he gets hits, and he has pop. So he had 25 home runs last year. So who knows? Like, will PCA, will he be able to put up numbers like that power wise? We'll see.
That's who me and
change confidence too. Can have confidence. It can boost him up just a little bit. Just little things like that could just boost him up and be like, oh, maybe this is a spot for me to take over.
And I just think Pete. I know Happer's always on in that leadoff spot. However, if Pete is given the keys to that spot, when Pete gets on, he brings a different element on the base paths, and Happer's a dog. No, don't confuse this at all. But when Pete gets on, everybody's like, oh boy, this dude again, because he's a problem.
He was 23 for 23 off the start last year, and then
I mean he's going to go get you, and you know it's coming, and he makes everybody speed up just that much more. And say Pete gets on, say Pete walks, and he gets on. Whoever is on defense, they're wondering, is he going to steal? And if the ball's hit to them, like, they're rushed. Everything is rushed. Then they throw the ball away, and then Pete could go first to third. He can go first to home. And then, boom, you're on the board just like that, 1-0. So that's the element that Pete brings to the table. So will we be able to see that this year? I don't know. It's all dependent on what spring looks like, and what kind of power surge he's able to have, and it's still dependent on what we see in the weeks to come.
Yeah, we talked about that on the last podcast too. Exactly what you just said about guys being rushed. Like when when Pete hits a ball to shortstop, they know they got to come up, charge it, come up quick, fire it over there, because he's hauling it down the first base line for sure. Parker.
Yep.
Will Sammy Sosa get the number 21 retired, and is he the next guy in line to get a statue? Which statue is your favorite statue?
Wow. He very well could. You never know. I mean, he's a Cubs Hall of Famer now, and he's back with the team. I mean, that's fantastic to see. I mean, it's nuts that Sammy Sosa is going to be around and be at Wrigley Field like in the summertime. That's a dream come true. I mean, especially for a kid that grew up. I say a kid. I'm far from a kid anymore, but as a guy that grew up watching Sammy Sosa, I mean, it'd be super cool. But I mean, I feel like each statue is special in its own way. I feel like the Ryan Sandberg statue is special to me because I was able to be a part of the statue unveiling, and that's and that was unbelievable. It's a pinch me moment. It's I try to never get nervous, but if there was ever a time in any recent memory where I was doing anything where I was nervous as opposed to just being anxious and ready to roll, that was the day, because I mean that was crazy, just being on that stage with myself and Ryan Sandberg and Sean Dunston and Larry Boa and Tom Ricketts and Bob Costas. I'm like, what am I doing here on the stage? So it's it was a very surreal moment, and just to be a special part of that was nuts. And like I said, everyone has a very special part. I mean, I was there for the Fergie unveiling, and and Ernie's was the first, and we used to meet at Ernie when it was in a different location. I used to meet my buddies. I'll meet you at Ernie. When I first took my wife, who was my girlfriend at that point, to her first her first professional sporting event we went to. We walked in the will call office, which was on the kind of adjacent to Ernie. And then when they didn't have the tickets, we went into office that was right there, and then everything got fixed. But it was right by Ernie Banks, so each one has a very special meaning to me. So it's pretty cool.
Is Rizzo, when he gets his statue, it's got to be this, right?
You would think. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where they put the statues at, because right now, the symmetry is so perfect the way they're lined up. So I don't know how it's going to go. If they're going to go on the other side or what, how it's going to go down.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. I wish I could have got there for the statue unveiling of Sandberg, but I was lucky enough to see this right here when they retired his number.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember when that was, but that was a pretty awesome moment right there. So, all right, Parker.
So who is your favorite interview of all time? So, which person is what was your favorite person to do an interview with?
I tell you, I love interviewing Billy Williams. I love being around Billy Williams. I love talking baseball with Billy Williams. I love any fraction of time that Billy Williams is able to throw in my direction, because not only was he a fantastic ball player, a Hall of Famer in his own right. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame human being, and I love being around him, and I just feel like I was never able to meet Ernie Banks, but I feel like when you're around Billy Williams, that's pretty dang close to being around Ernie Banks, and that's Billy's baseball royalty, and it's always a pleasure just to be in his presence, and it's pretty cool, just to be around any of those guys. I mean, I was able to do. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen it on Marquee Sports Network, Icons of the Ivy, where it was Rhino and Billy and Fergie and Andre Dawson and Lee Smith, and it was just unbelievable. To be around all those guys, all the Hall of Famers at once. I mean, it was a surreal moment. I have the picture of it, and they all autographed it. And I was able to get an extra one. I gave it to my pops, and that's one of my prized possessions, and it's one of his as well. I think it's it's just a cool moment to be able to be in the presence of greatness, and to be around those 5 Hall of Famers. I mean, and that's unbelievable.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would also, just for me, that would blow my mind. I'm just getting all those players' autographs.
To be listening to their story and just to have them talk about just coming up and playing with the Cubs, and to be able to be the narrator, and be a fly on the wall. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was really a really cool moment, and a career milestone for sure.
Yeah, that's one guy we haven't met yet. It was Billy, but I'm sure we'll meet him.
He's awesome.
Sometimes. What is your funniest Cubs story?
I mean, I feel like it's funny, and it's ironic, because like I said, now I always have my pass with me and make sure, but there's when I go in the certain gate, I don't necessarily always need to show identification, which to me still blows my mind, because I'm still like the same kid that used to live 10 blocks away, and used to try to sneak as many tickets as we could to get to a Cubs game. But I went to the All-Star game at Wrigley Field, my dad and I, and we didn't have tickets. He had $100 bill, and we found a ticket taker who was willing to take $100 bill to sneak us through the turnstiles back in the day. And I know he hates when I tell this story, but it's a fantastic story. And I feel like it's you could never get away with that this day and age with the electronic tickets and everything. But I feel like he always just told me that you can always find a way. There's always a way to make something happen, and that's how he helped make it happen for us to be able to go to that game. And we luckily it rained and there were empty seats. So we were able to kind of like, snag down some empty seats. We ended up sitting by the pilots that did the stealth bomber flyover. And, Parker, I'm sure you see the stealth bombers when they do the flyovers now, but that's when they first came out. Like that, they came out that year. And like they were like the coolest plane ever. Like they didn't show up on radar or anything. And so everyone was like, oh my God, these are the coolest planes. And they still look like the coolest planes of all time.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we got to sit next to the pilots, and it was a pretty cool moment. So, that's now to think that, that we had to, my pops and I had to kind of sneak in to Wrigley Field to go to this All-Star game. Now we don't have to sneak in anywhere at Wrigley Field, and it's pretty cool. And like I said, it's never lost on me. And I always, realized that, how privileged and blessed I am. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds like something me and Parker would probably do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, hey, let's find a way. Let's find a way to get to this game, right? Like we're gonna find out if we don't have tickets, we're gonna get you in. Like, Parker, you got a good pops, man. So
we'll find our way out.
Always tell them thanks.
We'll find our way to get. We'll find our way to get it.
We'll find a way to get ourselves in the on deck circle.
That's right. You got hustlers. I like it.
Oh man, Parker.
I hope to be a major league player, but I also want to be a broadcaster. Is there any advice that you can give me on being a broadcaster?
I tell you what, try to be a baseball player as long as you can. But with all the avenues you have broadcasting wise, that's pretty awesome too. So anything you can do to continue to be the best broadcaster possible, just continue to do it. Like just work hard and work as hard at your broadcasting as baseball. But I'd say continue to work at baseball, because the more you know about baseball, the more you increase your baseball IQ, and the better you are at, an in-game situation, that'll translate to your broadcasting, and everything that you know in your wealth of knowledge, that information will translate to the viewers and the listeners. So the more you know about baseball, the more well-versed you are about the game, that's going to make you better. And I think not only for broadcasting, but for your playing knowledge, go back and reacquaint yourself with the history of the game. The more you know about, baseball from the past, it's going to help you with baseball in the future. So, anytime you can do that. And I recommend watching Ken Burns' Baseball, the documentary. Like I think it's 10 innings now, because originally it was 9 innings and they added an extra inning on. So, go check it out. It's fantastic. I feel like the history that you'll be able to learn and take from it. I've seen it probably, I'd say 5 times all the way through. And I have the hard copy book that's like that big. It's the spine's all busted. It's probably one of the only books that I've made it start to finish in, or over the last 30 years. So, but I've had it since I was a kid, and I've been able to. It's one of the things I've always thoroughly enjoyed is baseball history. So baseball history, I feel like, makes you just a better student of the game.
Yeah. Also, like a lot of guys, this is a different sport, but like Shaq, he was a basketball player. Now he's a broadcaster. So you can also do both.
Absolutely. Don't ever limit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So Cole, we're both huge sports fans.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your thoughts about the trade heard around the world for Luka?
I feel like Rob Pelinka, man, is it felt like a deal that the Dodgers pulled off, didn't it? Like,
I know.
Rob Pelinka pulled off quite the deal. The Lakers, right now, the pop that they have in the NBA, like I felt like they shot up, and now like they're the ranked as the 5th best, the new power rankings, best team in the NBA. So, I don't know. I feel bad for Dallas Mavericks fans. They really lost the face of their franchise. And for Anthony Davis, a guy that, no disrespect, but doesn't seem to stay healthy very often. So I don't know. We'll see how this year shakes out, the remainder of the season. But I feel like the Lakers, they kind of robbed the Dallas Mavericks in that one. Yeah. It was a Mayflower truck moving in the middle of the night, Baltimore, Indianapolis situation. So it's crazy.
Parker, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a good trade for both of them. I mean, Dallas hasn't always had like a very big guy with Luka to try to get it, but now Luka's gone, and I just don't see how you trade a 25-year-old for a guy that mostly is wearing street clothes on the bench the entire year. So like
Yeah,
because he gets injured
that's
a
the
lot.
problem. I guess people were saying they were worried about the Mavericks were worried about Luka like staying in shape, but I don't know.
That
I
guy's
don't know.
he's a top 3 player in the world. You know,
Can shoot like no other.
5 straight
Yeah,
years of NBA All First Team, made it to the finals.
it's tough.
Just I couldn't believe it. I still couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's a rough patch for them.
Parker.
Hopefully it all works out.
I did see your Twitter post about the GOAT, Patty Mahomes. Who do you have winning the Super Bowl, and how many rings do you think Mahomes will get?
Jeez, I don't know, man. I've got the Kansas City Chiefs winning, and which is not a slight on the Eagles because I love Jalen Hurts. I always have. I've said since he was benched in the national championship game that he was a better quarterback than Tua, and I think Tua is a pretty talented quarterback. But Jalen Hurts is one of those. He's one of those dudes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's second time in the Super Bowl now. But I just think Patrick Mahomes he's a roadblock, man.
Dog.
He's an all-time great. I mean, he's only lost 3 times in the playoffs. He has 17 wins, and 2 of his playoff losses are to Tom Brady. I mean, come on. I mean, if you're going to lose in the playoffs, it's like the adult beverage ads, the Dos Equis ads. Like Patrick Mahomes says, I don't lose in the playoffs very often, but when I do, it's to Tom Brady. So I don't think he's going to lose to the Eagles and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and that squad. I think that their time will come, but it might be when Patrick Mahomes retires early. I don't know if he's going to go for 7 Super Bowls. I think if they win this one and say they win 4 in a row, I'm not necessarily thinking that Patrick Mahomes is going to retire, but I know he said he wants to be around, like, you know, for his kids when they grow up. He doesn't want to be absent, so we'll see. I mean, he's as good as it gets. They were comparing him to Tom Brady versus, you know, their 29 age season, and Patrick Mahomes is right there, if not ahead of him in every category. They're just they both have 3 Super Bowl championships, but I mean, Patrick Mahomes is a problem, man. He's a sledgehammer.
Yes.
So where you are? Can I take a timeout real quick?
Here he goes, Cole.
What's he got?
He's got something for you.
Okay. He's got a Patrick. He's putting a Patrick Mahomes jersey on.
He's putting it on.
Come on now.
Uh-oh. There he goes. Wait a minute.
There we go. I like it. I know it.
Wait. We got
throwing the
flags everywhere. Let's go.
Nice.
Nice. You're a Bears fan, and the Bears only look forward to the draft every year.
Oh, yeah.
You better look to the
Right.
Super Bowls before you start doing that stuff.
Hey, you know, I think the Bears have a lot of potential. You know, with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, I think that there's a lot of good things to come. But I also realize that Patrick Mahomes, he's a special talent, and you know, being able to watch greatness unfold in front of our very eyes, and you know, we were able to watch it with Tom Brady in years past. But you know, it's not very often you see a quarterback, you know, cut from this cloth. There's only 3 guys with 4 Super Bowls. You know, so that's, you know, Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw, Tom Brady. So to see Patrick Mahomes join that club, it'd be pretty cool to see. So, you know, I hope on Sunday we're able to watch that, and you know, we'll see. But you know, the first thing that's on my agenda is pitchers and catchers report on Sunday.
That's
so
right. Can't wait, baby. But no, I like respecting greatness. I mean, the Jordan run was awesome. The Yankees run was awesome, but I enjoy to see greatness, and I'm rooting for the Chiefs, obviously, because my son's a huge Chiefs fan. But
sure.
I mean, you got to respect it. You got to respect it. They just know how to win. So I mean, everybody gets mad. And they, you know, I mean, we're just playing around with these flags, but they just know how to close out games and get the job done. So I mean, I don't hate on them. I mean, a lot of people even hated on the Warriors when they were winning all kinds of things too. So, but next thing up, we got some Cubs trivia for you.
Let's go. What we got?
All right, Parker. Here we go, Park. Oh, he's getting the Cubs stuff back on.
Back to the Cubs. Okay, who was the first Cub to ever win a Rookie of the Year? A. Kerry Wood, B. Billy Williams, C. Ryan Sandberg, or D. Chris Bryant?
I'm gonna go B. Billy Williams, right?
Bang! Sweet. Who is it, Parker? Sweet swing.
Sweet swinging Billy Williams.
All right.
That's right. Cubs convention isn't Cubs convention without Billy doing that sweet swing, that lefty cut. Oh man, come on.
Which Cubs player played hoops for the Harlem Globetrotters? A. Derek Lee, B. Andre Dawson, C. Fergie Jenkins, D. Ernie Banks.
I'm gonna go with C. Mr. Complete Game himself. He has 267 of them. Fergie Jenkins.
Fergie!
Fergie!
He's 2 for 2. 2
That's
for
right.
2, man.
That's right.
Starting the season off
Yeah,
hot.
he knows his Cubs. What is the most runs the Cubs have ever scored in a game? A. 19, B. 23, C. 26, or D. 21?
I believe it's 26 runs. I hope I'm right here.
Same number as Sweet Swinging Billy Williams. Man.
Man,
Tell you
no,
what,
Oh,
he knows the
I think I
Cubs.
got
I
a
don't
three.
know.
I got like 3 right, 4 right.
I'm
maybe
kind of
4
I'm kind of supposed to know a lot about the Cubs though.
Yeah, it's probably. All right, here we go.
Which Cub led the team in fielding percentage in 2022? A. Nico Horner, B. Yan Gomes, C. Ian Happ, D. Fabian Cubs left field line ball boy.
Fabian. He's through the roof.
Boom, Fabian.
Yes.
Man, 4 for 4 on the night.
Come on, let's go.
Dang.
Let's go. You know how we do.
All right. I don't know if he's going to get this one right, though.
This
Park.
is how we do
Let's
it.
go.
Who is the biggest Cubs fan? A. Cole Wright, B. Jason Mead, C. Myself Parker Mead, or D. Steve Bartman.
Bartman. Oh,
I'm gonna go with C again, Parker. You might have us covered, but I'm a pretty big Cubs fan.
You don't have that many
yeah.
years.
You haven't experienced the heartache that your pops and I have experienced.
Wow.
But 2016. How old were you in 2016?
I think I was 3.
3.
Maybe?
He was 3.
Yeah.
He was in bed. He was in bed.
Yeah.
No,
So
I think he woke up because we were all going crazy. I probably woke him
everyone
up.
was yelling. I can imagine. Yeah, but no, it's I think we're all tied. I think we're all tied. Steve Bartman. I might have to give the crown to Steve Bartman because if he's still a fan for everything he went through, that's something serious, man. So I would love to see Steve Bartman at a game just so everyone could just give him a standing ovation. Everyone just let him know, man. Like, Steve Bartman, you're a Cubs fan. We love you. Come on out to Wrigley Field, man. Check out a game. Let's go.
Hey, is he the next statue?
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, but I was up there that night that happened, and it was just absolutely insane. I wasn't in the game. We were out in the streets, but I forgot all about that play because I was too PO'd about Alex Gonzalez booting that ground ball.
Missing the double play. Yeah.
Everybody forgets that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like the baseball people know. We realize that that was almost like a tailor-made double play that he took it off the hip and wasn't able to turn it. So it's all good though. It all worked out.
Well, all right. We can't thank you enough for coming on here. Like I said, this is only our 5th episode. We're trying to get this thing up and rolling. But we can't thank you enough for coming on here. And not only that, but just to thank the Marquee Network and all you guys that made that memorable experience for my son. Obviously this is a father-son podcast, and we've loved every minute of it that we've done it so far, and we can't thank you enough. And I know Parker really, really enjoys it, and I know he enjoyed his experience.
Thanks, Cole.
Hey, absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Anytime you want to come around and let me know, and we can make it happen. Hopefully, I'll see you guys at the ballpark. And anytime you want to have me on the podcast again, I had a great time. Being able to chop it up and then talk some Cubs baseball, fellas.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you very much.
No doubt, guys.
Thank you for watching the Boys and Ivy Cubs podcast. And like always,
Go Cubs, go!